healthcare movement in this country, heading so many important government as well as non-governmental organizations, but more so in the field of specially abled children. She led the Paralympics team to Berlin about 1 year ago with great success. So big hand to Dr. 𝗵𝗶𝗧. We also have the distinguished presence of another doctor who was Dr. 𝗙𝗪𝗓 and Dr. 𝗵𝗶𝗧 or Dr. 𝗵𝗪. He is the dynamic Director General of the Services Export Promotion Council, set up, you see, by the Government of India, the Department of Commerce. So we are privileged to have his presence here. The industry perspective, the address, we also have the distinguished presence of Mr. 𝗙𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗨𝗀, Advisor to the Chief Minister, Government of Uttar Pradesh. As you are all aware, state of UP is partnering with the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce for this very important event. And the progress which the state of Uttar Pradesh has made, I think, is known to everyone, not only in the field of maintenance of law and order, but also in the field of the growth of economy, the measures which are being taken. We also have the distinguished presence of in absentia Mr. 𝗵𝗵𝗃, who will be joining us today, and also Mr. 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗎𝗃, Chairman and Managing Director, 𝗙𝗵𝗃 Limited. He will also be joining us a little late.
Thank you, Dr. 𝗵𝗂𝗧. I would now like to invite our next dignitary to also set the context and try and understand what we're going to achieve today. I'd now like to invite Dr. 𝗂𝗍𝒂, Director General Services Export Promotion Council, for an address, please. And could we have a huge round of applause, please?
Dr. Lalit Bhasin, our founder chairman of 𝗙CPC, and sir started with a remark that in what way a lawyer, and that too one of the finest, has to do with the trade. So it is everything you can do with the trade, and the kind of effort you have put in. Establishing 𝗙CPC and mentoring us is actually a huge contribution to the entire trade, and more so in the space of Indo-US at the 21st occasion of the summit. I think we are all privileged to share our point of views under your kind guidance. I thank IICC for inviting 𝗙CPC. With IICC we have MOU and a lot of areas of cooperation. We are trying to evolve and move ahead on that. With acknowledging the presence of all the dignitaries and all of you, a very good morning. And it's an occasion to just provide you some snippets of the Indo-US trade. Of course, services is a data-buying industry, as we say. But when we look at two things, the present status of services export from India, it's about $350 billion US, and significant amount of trade is happening with US. There is a goal to reach $1 trillion US by 2030 in services space, and I believe this particular occasion and the way ahead is to look at US market and how we can develop synergy, create business opportunities for everyone in the services space, in the manufacturing too, because a large portion of manufacturing services is also being exported. When we look at overall India's competence, we are 7th in the service export to the world, and USA also is exporting major services. In fact, as the economy develops, the country becomes a major service exporter. India is also exporting a lot of services, and more noticeably telecom services. Education, as Dr. Chauhan mentioned, has a huge scope. Healthcare, transport and logistics, environment, energy, that particular sector is also providing a lot of opportunities. As we move ahead, like commercial services, where India is not having major presence in US, other business services, financial services, travel, all these services have a huge scope. Just to mention, in commercial services, India ranks 59 out of 69 exporting countries to the US. So you see the kind of gap we have. In other business services, India ranks second. That's a very, very important point to know. And out of 71 exporting countries. So what it points out that if we develop our competencies in other services sectors also, we have enough scope to grow the business from India. Intellectual property, that's another area which has huge promise. Transport services, again an area to look for. I also noted that among the major imports of US in services, 89% of import is happening in commercial services, transport services, other services, travel, financial services, ITS is actually there. And we feel that this particular occasion will help us in understanding how to bridge the gap, if any, in creating opportunities. How do we go for a kind of, formal institutionalized measures to take the initiative forward. My last remark would be, we will be having global exhibitional services, and the kind of business, the kind of trade relation with India, with US we have. I feel it will be an opportunity to have US as a country partner, and I believe IACC should play a major role in developing this ability. With these words, thanks everyone for this opportunity.
I'd also like to invite another special guest for an address, Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗂𝗵𝗶, IAS retired advisor to the Chief Minister, Government of Uttar Pradesh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Dr. Lalit Bhasin and his entire team, Dr. Atul Chauhan, especially Dr. 𝗂𝗵𝗲𝗓𝗏, Dr. Arora himself is here and very dear friend, Dr. Abhay Sinha, 𝗙ષ𝗹𝗹𝗪 sir, our guest, Mr. Andrews is on the way, and of course Mr. Mukesh Singh, who was very insistent that I be here today for this, for the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce 21st Indo-US Economic Summit, building bridges, setting futures and pioneering pathways. I come here on behalf of the state of Uttar Pradesh, but right away at the beginning I would like to state that I was watching the Honorable Prime Minister when he was in the United States very recently, and when he went there for the Quad Summit. And of course, on a personal note, I would like to tell you, my younger brother and his wife, my sister-in-law, they attended the conference or the public function of the Honorable Prime Minister at New York, and you would not believe it that 50,000 capacity stadium or hall was chock full and people were waiting outside, and the Prime Minister had to say that we in India are of course strongly in the United States, and the next time when I have our function at New York or some of these places, I would ensure a larger space for ourselves. So this only shows the way the Indian diaspora in the United States has made a place for itself. We as Indians in the United States are one of those who are doing one of the best in the country. I have colleagues of mine from IIT Kanpur who are doing very well. One of them is Mr. Arvind Krishna, who is the chairman of IBM, and I have been in discussion with him. So obviously I feel very happy to be here today on this platform of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, and I wish this entire conference and wish all the deliberation positive in the sense that they will take India forward, they will take United States forward, and obviously India cannot be thought of without Uttar Pradesh. So under the leadership of Yogi Adityanath-ji, that is one important aspect on which I am going to throw some light here today. You all know that Yogi ji became the Chief Minister in about 2017, and in the last 7.5 years, a sort of freedom movement has swept through Uttar Pradesh, because Uttar Pradesh was shackled. It had been held back by so many chains, so many negativities for the state. We were called a 𝗵𝗵𝗶 state. We were called a state which had no law and order, and it is under the leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister that very first thing he resolved was the rule of law and zero tolerance to crime and criminality. World over, if there is one challenge which is being faced by the most important democracies, is the establishment of rule of law. Whether it be the large democracies of the West, whether it be democracies across the Asian continent, whether it be democracies in Europe, it is the rule of law which is now the prime concern for all state heads, and it is here that the Chief Minister ensured that we will establish the rule of law, and you would now continue to see that we in the state of Uttar Pradesh continue to work very hard. I have been part of this entire team for the state of Uttar Pradesh as the Home Secretary and the longest standing Home Secretary. We in Uttar Pradesh have the largest police force of the world, and we have about 4.5 to 5 lakh personnel within the state of Uttar Pradesh. And if I would like to state, if you want to set the tone for rule of law, if you want to ensure zero tolerance to crime and criminality, there are 5 aspects which are very important. First, you have to ensure that you have proper police personnel in the state with a very strong representation with women. We in Uttar Pradesh had very few women within our police force, and in the last few selection processes that we have had, we have ensured that our level of women within the police force is now with a participation of more than 20%, and you have very recently seen that more than 70,000 police personnel have been recruited in our state. Recruitment is a major challenge for anywhere and every state in the country, and it is this that we ensure very strongly. So 1, increase the strength of the police force. 2, modernize the police force with technology. We in Uttar Pradesh have used advanced technologies in cyber security, which is a major challenge in monitoring of the entire movement of criminals through the monitoring of the financial services. So all of these areas require in-depth analysis through technology. This is another aspect on which a lot of work has been done. The third aspect about the police force in our state has been to increase the infrastructure of the police force. There, we are now spending 5,000 crores in infrastructure alone for the police force. Now, this is the level of movement within our state for infrastructure. The next aspect is about women and women's safety. Today, if a woman in a village of 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗹𝗵, which is one of our districts, wants to move to the city and work late till evening or night at around 10 o'clock, if she comes back from the city to the rural area, she is free to go, and it is this security for women which has ensured the popularity for the state as well as for the Chief Minister himself. So there are any number of aspects on which a lot of work has been done for setting the tone in any state for development. The very first thing is to ensure that the state has a proper rule of law, and it is this which Yogi ji has ensured in his first term. As far as the 𝗵𝗵𝗶 tag is concerned, you all know that we had a large number of people living below the poverty line. It is the state of Uttar Pradesh which, under the guidance of the Honorable Prime Minister, who represents Uttar Pradesh through Varanasi as his own constituency, this I would say this divine coincidence of getting the Honorable Prime Minister, I would like to welcome our guest, Mr. Andrews here on this stage. Sir, good morning and welcome to the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce conference. conference here today. On behalf of Uttar Pradesh and on behalf of the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath ji, I would like to also welcome you as being part of this conference here. We on behalf of Uttar Pradesh would like to welcome all partnerships with any country, and particularly the country like America, which is leading the world and which would provide the technology and the resources for us to take them forward.
Our chief guest of this summit, Mr. 𝗂𝗽𝗃, Deputy Chief of Mission at the US Embassy. 𝗂𝗽𝗃 is a Senior Foreign Service Officer at the US Department of State with 29 years of experience in diplomacy and national security. Currently, he serves as the Deputy Chief of Mission at the US Embassy in the national capital. Thank you so much for taking out the time. We're extremely honored and privileged to have you with us. I will also at this point request Dr. Bhasin, Dr. Atul Chauhan, Dr. Nitin Seth and Dr. Manoj Singh to please join us, Dr. Arora as well, to present Andrews with the bouquet, please. Could we have all the dignitaries join us, and could we have a small token and memento to be presented to our chief guest, please? So ladies and gentlemen, let's really kickstart the ball. Let's get down to the brass tacks. Let's begin with our first award. And our first award goes for the excellence in developing and creating highest number of expressways in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And with a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗏 IAS retired advisor to the Honorable Chief Minister, Government of India, to please receive this award. And could we have a huge round of applause, please? Let's move to our next set of awards, which is Business Excellence Award in the Healthcare Sector. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up to Mrs. Sunanda Singhania, Executive Director at the PSRI Hospital, please. Could we have a huge round of applause as we welcome Mrs. Singhania on stage? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not hearing the applause from the stage. Could we have a huge round of applause, please, for the kind of tremendous work that is being done by all our awardees today?
So thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. On behalf of Ambassador Eric Garcetti, it's my honor and privilege to be with you today. And I should probably confess something. Actually, it's more of a disclaimer. I'm a former lawyer, so disclaimers are part of the drill. I have now been in India for about 6 weeks, right? And so I will not stand here before you and pretend that I have everything figured out about a civilization that is more than 5,000 years old. But I have learned a few things in my 6 weeks, and I thought I would share some of them with you. Many of them will not be a surprise to you, but I think we'll demonstrate a little bit about the growing relationship between the United States and India in a way that perhaps impacts all of our futures. First off, I just wanted to thank the board of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, all of its membership, for including us in this event. It's our privilege to work with you. I know Jonathan and his team at FCS have contacts with you throughout the year, and very much look forward to working with you to build a stronger business relationship between our two countries. So on behalf of Jonathan and his team, thank you for that collaboration. Some of you may have noticed that there were some events happening back in the United States this past weekend. Prime Minister Modi was in the United States and was having a Quad summit with his fellow leaders, with President Biden. And we also had a bilateral summit meeting between your Prime Minister and our President. And I think those meetings kind of put into greater context that which we already know, which is that the U.S.-India relationship is getting bigger, deeper, wider, faster. On all levels, really. And so we know that at the political level, we have all kinds of conversations about security and prosperity and how to make the Indo-Pacific region more secure, more open, more prosperous, and more free. But I think goes unsaid is that the real bedrock, the solid foundation of that relationship is our people-to-people ties. And you all have heard the statistics about all of the visas and the travel back and forth between our two countries, the fact that India now sends more students to the United States than any other country. But the other part of that bedrock, that foundation that makes our relationship so stable, are the business-to-business ties. That too is a people-to-people connection that stabilizes and makes our relationship so resilient and able to weather any of the challenges of this turbulent 21st century in which we live. So I just wanted to kind of recognize some of the prominent features of that bedrock relationship between our business communities. I think it's fair to say that in the 21st century, with climate change and with so many other challenges, technologies and criminal activities and conflict, it's fair to say that neither government nor private sector can navigate us through that thicket of challenges by itself. I think we recognize more than ever that just as it's no longer true, if it ever was, that business is just about making money and just about kind of growth and prosperity. It's also true that government isn't just about the political relationships and the overall security and stability. In this 21st century, to deal with these challenges, government and the private sector, government and business have to work together. We have to be joint stewards of the well-being of our citizens, of the health of our planet, and really make sure that we are creating opportunities and jobs and prosperity in a way that is sustainable and that will take care of the planet as well. So this partnership, I think, grows deeper because we recognize that shared responsibility. I know that the IAC has been engaged with the Indian and U.S. government as an advocate to help us understand and give us valuable feedback on bilateral trade and investment issues. We really do appreciate the role that you play. Sometimes, as we in government are engaged in our conversations with the government of India, it's really useful to have that feedback from our private sector colleagues. We have so much to celebrate in the relationship. I talked about the educational exchange, but we also have tech collaboration booming. We have all kinds of entrepreneurs coming up with ideas, and sometimes it's the proper role of government to bridge those gaps between a new entrepreneur who has an idea, something that he or she wants to create, and the marketable concept that will actually attract investors and attract business interests. And so we realize that there is a role for government sometimes in that flow of ideas from initial concept to commercialized opportunity. Together we're growing both economically and strategically. We base that growth on our commitment to mutual economic prosperity. And as President Biden said over the weekend, this relationship is stronger, closer, and more dynamic than at any time in history. As many of you may know, Prime Minister Modi signed 3 agreements over the weekend. Each of these agreements relates to the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. And he also spoke to thousands of members of the Indian diaspora in the U.S. And we all know that diaspora, which is over 4 million strong, is another part of the bedrock relationship that gives our two countries this stable foundation for our relations. The key here, I think, is that the United States and India have a unified vision for what the Indo-Pacific region could look like and for India's role in the world. It is very true that it is in the United States' interest for India to rise. It is in the United States' interest to have a strong, stable, trustworthy, confident partner in India to go out and tackle those 21st century threats that I mentioned. Together, U.S. and India, when we collaborate, we move the world. Our share of global GDP, our share of global population, our share of the PhDs in the world, which I understand is something close to 50%. All of these and more make a U.S.-India partnership hard to beat and also able to tip the balance as the world tries to solve some of these global challenges. But I think we would all agree there's so much more potential here to unlock. I know that you all have conversations about some of the headwinds and the frictions that you face, both with the Indian government and with our government. Part of government's job is to create the fair lanes for business and the guardrails. And part of government's job is to get out of the way so that the private sector can do what it does best, which is create opportunities, create value, create jobs for both of our countries. This theme that you have for this year's summit, Building Bridges, I think is absolutely appropriate because although our countries are far away, they're on distant sides of the planet, those bridges are crucial to enabling us to do business together and to build those people-to-people ties that I talked about before. And of course, with those bridges, I know you all are focused on creating sustainable, inclusive economic models that will help strengthen the lower socioeconomic classes in India, but also to build out that middle class and create an entirely larger group of middle class consumers and citizens and taxpayers and all of the above. We talked a little bit about climate change, the impact on our collective prosperity if we do not solve these climate change problems together is profound. Together, I think we are doing some amazing things, both at the government level and in private sector, to reduce emissions, to help India find a path for growth and development that does not overly exacerbate global climatic challenges. And also that these changes would create the well-paying green jobs that I know we would all like to see. So next week, Minister of Commerce and Industry 𝗂𝗽 will be in Washington, and he'll have a chance to meet with his counterpart, Secretary of Commerce 𝗙𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗍𝗄. And together they will co-chair the U.S.-India Commercial Dialogue and CEO Forum. This is another one of these crucial links between government and industry that helps us build out this partnership. So, as you can tell, the partnership's deep and wide. I'm still learning quite a bit about India and about our relationships with the private sector, with other governments. But I can clearly tell that this relationship, as fast as it is growing, is providing tremendous benefits for both of our people. And so, once again, I thank you. I thank the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. I thank each of your businesses individually for being the fabric that ties our two countries together. And I really look forward to working with you and engaging with you in the future. Thank you so much for your support, and I wish you the best.